That works. Hey, we're there. Welcome to Displacer Geeks. My name is Brian.
And I'm Hudson, and we're two geeks talking about the geek.
That's right. And today's topic is how do you DM?
That's an interesting question, Brian. Do you want me to lead off, or do you want to go
Well, let me
first?
just say this, Hudson, is there a right and a wrong way to DM?
Mm, I'm gonna say it's a complicated, nuanced question, but generally no. Like there is maybe the
I
wrong way for certain individuals.
Yes, I would agree with you. There's definitely a wrong way if you're just really mean or something as a DM.
Yeah,
But for the most part, no, there's not like a perfect way or anything like that, in my opinion. But
no,
and everybody's a little different too. So I love to DM myself, and but that doesn't mean I don't like to play. And it's fun to see other people DM and see what their DM style's like, because everybody's got a unique style to their own, I think, for the most part. And if you don't have it yet, you'll eventually get one because it'll just be a natural thing. So. Hudson, let's start with you. When you are DMing, what do you think are some of the things that you tend to do during your games or sessions?
well, I think as a DM, I kind of had an interesting like when I first started trying to do a DM, I planned out my scenarios like military operations.
Oh, yeah, when you first started. So when you
Yeah,
first
first
DM,
start.
yes. I think that's
I
pretty
was,
normal.
yeah. And then I was like, all right, what is their course of action? What is the worst course of action? What is the best course of action? Like I literally went down, like, what are all the probable course of actions? And I made a plan for it. And so I
Hmm.
made this plan, and everybody basically took the most obvious choice plan. They didn't do anything crazy, but I had plans for that if they did anything wild.
Yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but yeah, they all just took like the obvious choices, and I was just like, okay, I don't maybe need to do that. And then I literally got to the point one of the one of the last times I really DM'd was just like somebody showed up and like, hey, I want to do this quest as my character. I'm like, okay, we're doing it now. Here we go.
Yeah, perfect.
Like just that day, like just
Zero planning.
zero planning, just did it.
And did it
Uh,
work out?
I think they had fun.
Yeah, nice,
So,
nice. I do think
uh,
it's hard for new DMs. I do think, at least I see online and hear a lot of people talk about how they're stressed out about it and it's kind of freaking them out. It's overwhelming, but boy,
yeah,
it's only as overwhelming as you want to make it, in my opinion. So, and then the more comfortable you get with the game system and then the players, I think it'll be a lot easier to come up with things on the
yeah,
fly or make adjustments or anything like that. So, but yeah,
yeah.
so you've gone from super heavy planning to zero planning, zero planning for 0 seconds. So yeah.
So honestly, a lot of times though, I just to plan out my session, I was just like, I'm like, where do I want? I let the players kind of like write the story, but like, I'm like, I give them the hook and just see what they do with it, and then go from there and kind of like plan it out. So like, and then like, so the last one was I had built the world, and I was like, I created some hooks, and just let the players do what they do with the hooks and responded to those hooks with more hooks, but
Yeah.
they seem to work.
Awesome. Awesome. Do you feel like you give the players a lot of freedom? Do you, is that a
Yeah.
thing? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I try to. I try not to be like, you have to do this. But
Yeah.
there was a couple times where they were like not picking up obvious clues where I basically had to like kind of grab them by the nose and like lead them to the clue. Two as
Oh,
well, like it's like players be players. Sometimes they will pick up the most subtle thing and like run miles with it, or like there's like something like blatantly obvious, and they're like, nah, bro.
yeah.
That's just flavor.
Yeah. I feel like 99% of the time they do not catch the I'm like, I'm feeding this to you, and they're like, we're gonna go here. No.
one of my most favorite examples was they were researching something and they had to go to the library. And the library said, you cannot check this book out. It is forbidden. You can look at it, but you cannot leave this building with this book.
Hmm.
You can't copy it. You can't do anything. You can look at it here, and that's it. Can't copy it, nothing. And they're like, well, that's weird.
And they just
And
ignored it.
they were reading the book, and then they're
Oh.
like, well, they're like, did anybody ever check it out? And I'm like, yeah, there is. And then I gave them like the names of the people that checked it out. And the last one was like 10 years ago. Do you think they tried to figure out that guy was still around or not?
And just, oh, that's cool. And then move on.
uh, Cipher text. Goodbye.
Yeah, that's funny. As a DM, do you find yourself rewarding the players a lot with treasures, or how does that go when you're DMing?
Uh, the last one, I kind of got a little lazy, but I had kind of built it into the world also. Like if you killed a monster, like they would like explode into coins, just as, just for
Sweet.
fun. So and
Awesome.
then you would like have so if they when they got done fighting, I'd have them like whoever got the last blow like roll on the chart, like on the treasure
That's
chart to see
fun.
whatever came out.
That is super fun.
And if it was a big enough character, I had them roll on like the treasure hoard chat. And
Yeah.
one time they rolled a +2 weapon, relatively like they were like level 4, 5, like
Nice.
really early. I was like, well, there's some really cool weapons I could give them. I'm gonna give them the one that was gonna make them think though. So I gave them the
Nice.
weapon that all of them could use.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Then you let the team figure it out.
Yeah.
Hopefully they figure it out in a nice way.
Well, it was kind of funny. Ultimately, I went to the bard who was just kind of like, meh.
Of course. That's funny.
I'm
That's
like, yeah.
funny.
But I mean, it was a +2 crossbow. I'm
Nice.
like, that's pretty solid weapon for this level. You're set. Like that should be your go-to from now on. Just you don't know what else to do, just attack with the crossbow. +2. And I think they had pretty decent decks.
Nice. When you're running your games, do you I had a question and totally Oh, when you're running a campaign, do you tend to try to put story into every session, or are there just nights where you're like, I can't think straight right now, I'm tired, I'm busy, just do a random thing and
I
see where it
mean,
goes?
I tried to have it always be like related to the story, but a lot of it was like how the characters were interacting with the world.
Gotcha.
Well, at least in the last one, right? So then they were like it didn't matter what they were doing; they were basically always building on the story.
Yeah, that's cool.
And um, like, hey, you introduced this new character, and then they kind of had to figure out how they fit in the story. Like one time, I was just like, you know what, this guy last time got petrified. You managed to save him, but they like basically said he was dead, and he's off doing his own thing right now. But they ran into the new character that took his position, who was Pepto Abysmal, who was was an orc barbarian dressed in like the most god awful pig.
I feel like I would like your campaign a lot. Did
uh,
anybody not catch the
and he was
reference?
just really oh they totally caught it.
Did every single eye roll at the table when you said that? Like, oh gosh.
I might have been their idea to be honest,
That's funny.
but yeah,
Oh,
that's
so
yeah.
another question. When you're running a campaign, do you typically have NPCs that you control that play with your group or no?
I mean, I try to let the PCs be the PCs, right?
Yeah,
And there are NPCs that they can interact with that are very much named characters who have thoughts, plans, their own motives, goals, and stuff like that. And
I
like,
hear you.
so the players do acts like all of the like. all of the NPCs are going to do like something, right? And they're going to have a reaction
Yeah.
to that. Even if it's a non-reaction because they're just, you know, a dumb barbarian orc. Uh, so there's that. There's all of that going on. But I don't like give them like a character to play with unless it's like a short period guide.
Yeah.
Like
I
literally, I
gotcha.
had one guide show him to like a treasure and immediately just like get obliterated.
Nice.
Everybody like called it. They're like, and
Yeah.
he dies. And I'm like, yep, rock falls on him. He's dead. We're like,
Yeah.
wait, really? Yeah, really.
That's funny. I like that they called it too. Yeah, I don't ever run characters with my players either. I let the players just be players. So
Yeah,
if I were to ever do that, yeah, there'd probably be something the players would be like, wait a minute, he never does this. Something's up. Nice. Well, sounds like you and I are on the pretty much the same page for when it comes to running campaigns. I mean, the current one we're playing right now is pretty rigid on just the world, so that's kind of different than what I normally do. So this po we're playing in this post-apocalyptic fantasy world, so there's not a lot of stuff in general. So that's kind of a bummer because I like to give out magical items and stuff like that, and it's been different in this one because you're supposed to feel the struggle. We're recording it for a podcast, so it's supposed to be like a drama. So we don't want like The Walking Dead finding treasure all the time. The people in The Walking Dead finding treasure all the time. That would kind of be not nearly as exciting or dramatic, but
yeah. Every other time they find 1,000 rounds 9 millimeter.
yeah, yeah. So making it
Yeah,
feel gritty and rough.
yeah,
And it's been interesting because there has been some backlash on it on just players' frustration. I'm like, I'm sorry, trust me, I'm sorry. Trying to make it dramatic and work. But yeah, I think you and I
yeah,
are on the same page. I do try to make every session count towards the story. There are times when I plan a lot, but there's more and more. There's a lot of times where I don't. I do bullet points though for sure. So I go, okay, tonight I want X, Y, and Z to happen if they do, but it's all towards Z, you know. I do tend to put bullet points down on things they might find out in that session, and that's kind of fun. And I do it all on paper. You could do it on a document too, but I do bullet points to where I can check them off. So that's kind of nice because then 5 weeks later, I could look back and go, wait a minute, what did they find out here? Oh yeah, they didn't find this out yet. So that's kind of nice. But but yeah, I when it comes to regular campaigns, not like the one I'm running now, I mean, kind of all about the story. I love lots of RPG. I love putting players in moments, whether it's um, combat or it's a social moment. I love throwing out some type of just scenario for them to figure out and interact with. And it's just fun. I go with the flow, I guess, I go with the flow on a lot of that, I think. And then flow and fun are two words that I like to use when I think of DMing anymore because there's nothing worse than sitting around waiting for something. There's nothing worse than hold on, I got to look up a rule. Hold on, I got to look up a rule. Hold on, I got to look up a rule, which I know that does happen, especially if you're a new player and you're trying to get everything perfect. I get it. But
or
if it
somebody pulls out a spell that you've never heard of. Like
yeah,
sometimes you just got to pause the game and be like, okay, how does this really work?
yes. No, I agree. I agree. But I will say the more I've gamed, the more I've appreciated people putting in flair to their actions. So they're like, "Can I jump down from this table and swing across?" And like just something super dramatic. I let people always have a chance at succeeding, no matter what. I mean, the target number is going to be super high, so might be like, yeah, you have to roll a nat 20 to actually have that happen. And sometimes they do.
Never
Things like
know.
that. You never know. And
Yeah,
it makes for great role-playing moments. Like, you die laughing or there's a big
yeah.
dramatic moment and it's all because they had the opportunity, they had the chance to do something that maybe the rules don't perfectly align with or something. So,
No.
I definitely do that. I know in Dungeons and Dragons for sure, and Pathfinder ran into some issues, I think, where combat drags on. So during combat, if I feel like it's dragging on, I'll chop hit points in half for all the bad guys. Just like, okay, we gotta get this going, and they gotta start killing some of these things. Or if they just start mowing through people right away, I add a couple more in as an ambush or something to make it feel good. And then, if it's a big boss fight, you want the boss to be able to like have a lasting impact. So I make adjustments throughout battles and stuff at times, but think they're fair adjustments. And I still let dice decide a lot of stuff. When it comes to role playing and all that, I let dice decide a lot. So I guess I didn't talk about that yet, but I do enjoy letting dice decide many things to an extent. So people say, "Hey, I would like to try this out." I let them roll it. Or if they interact with somebody at a tavern, I think about the scenario, I give them a target number in my head, and then I have them roll like a charisma roll or something to see if that person wants to react with them or not. And then if the player decides to buy him a drink, I lower the target number a little bit. Just all kind of quick and again, let the dice happen. A big thing in my games when I DM, I do like to have all ones or all max numbers be auto fails or auto successes for really just narrative purposes is the most fun part of it. And it's just it's exciting when you roll a 20 on a D20 and it should feel exciting. So even if
Yeah.
it's, I want to slay this dragon with one swing of the sword, I guess that's not really a good example. But even if it's people researching something they should have no business finding in a certain area, or like, let's say some ruin that's far away from what they're really looking at. Hey, if they roll a 20, even though it's a skill check on investigation or something, I like to give them a little something because, I mean, they had a 1 in 20 chance of actually rolling that number. So I think it's fun.
Yeah. So one thing I observed was with that though is I've seen people get a little too carried away with it. They'd be like, I want to lift this, 2-ton tree,
Oh,
as
no,
right, as my
yeah, I wouldn't allow that, I guess.
right. And I'm like, but they rolled a nat 20. And then the M's like, well, they rolled a 20. I'm like, yo, dude, you don't have to let them roll. And you can tell them no.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I limit it to the reality, the realistic expectations of the world, I guess.
right.
So, because I don't want it to get absurd by any means.
Well, yeah. I've just not you, but I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
seen where people and have taken that approach and then just let it get wild. So I guess
yeah. And
uh, you
again,
know,
we talked about everybody's different. Maybe that DM just loves the ridiculousness of it or the exciting part of it. I mean, if you're playing in a slapstick campaign, I mean, that could be kind of funny, like, but still it could get absurd, but
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, big thing is to me is just you want the people to be happy. The big thing for me is you want the players to have fun and be happy, and then you want to try to get your story to work, and that's those are the major goals for me.
And sometimes you just got to be a halfling that sneaks out. All right, like
That's right. Or
hmm,
sometimes you just have to be the healer, even though nobody wants to be the healer. No.
right. Ah,
Or
there's
some. Oh, go ahead.
I've played the healer in campaigns before, and sometimes they're surprisingly very powerful. And so, like, I was doing a Boulder's Gate. We're getting off topic here. I was doing a Boulder's Gate, but I played a Tempest cleric, and yeah, there was a period of time when I was carrying those people through the comments because they weren't getting it down, but I was like just standing in the middle, like, you can't touch me, I kill
Yeah.
you.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, clerics are super good,
Yeah,
and you can build them to be combat junkies pretty much, right?
yeah. I had Yeah, there was one combat I had call lightning going off, and then I had spirit guardians, and they would run up and try to attack me. They would take a bunch of damage trying to get to me, and then they couldn't hit me. And then I was like calling lightning down on on
Nice.
everybody,
Yeah.
and then for the rest of my, and then like I would also spend the rest of the turn like just running around with the spirit guardians,
Yeah.
doing damage on them. Like, haha, get you. So
That's cool. One of the things too when I'm DMing is I mean, I love the creative process of it. And I mentioned a little bit of this earlier before, but the spirit garden, the spirit guardian made me think of it is, let your I like can't talk today. I like to let the players be creative with their own spells and stuff too. So if they want their spirit guardian to look like a glowing lion spirit or something, that's fine with me. I don't care. That's cool. Like whatever they want to do to make it look sweet and be
yeah,
fun, I'm all for it. And to be unique for their own character too. I think that's neat. We have a player in our current campaign that a lot of his spells resemble dragons, and I think that is super sweet. So, does the spell
yeah,
actually say that? No, but we allow it because it's cool.
yeah.
Who doesn't
He
like
also likes to
dragons?
shout a word for. He also likes to shout a word every time he casts a spell too, which is cool.
Shadow.
But one thing
Oh,
I've never like,
shout a word. Say that again.
yeah, shout a word. He likes to shout a word every time he casts like spells. So like he's like Avrak or whatever it is. It's always the
Yeah.
same. Like that's always the same spell, which is really cool. Uh, every now and again, I'm like, does that actually have a verbal component? Do you need to shout that?
No, but it's fun though. That's the thing.
It
He's
is
being
fun.
creative. Yeah.
It is fun.
Anything to get the players engaged. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And then, we'll have to do a whole episode on theater of the mind versus miniatures because I could talk all day about that. Absolutely all day. I used to
Yeah.
always do theater of the mind with like a whiteboard or a piece of paper that kind of mapped out where people were. And then recently we've been doing kind of miniatures. Fourth edition did miniatures for a bit because that was very miniature heavy. But yeah, that'll be a topic down the road because definitely could talk for an hour on that with no problem. So yeah, when you're starting out playing D&D, if somebody asks you to DM, if you don't want to, but everybody else doesn't want to either, give it a try because you might like it. And if you don't like it, that's okay. Just play a couple games and just be honest with your friends and say, hey, you know what? This is not my thing. But if you're
Yeah.
stressed out, yeah, but if you're stressed out about it, don't let it bother you. Maybe plan as little as possible because more often than not, the more you plan, the more your players don't go with any of those plans anyways. So less planning, less stress,
Yeah.
and it's just a game. So enjoy it.
Yeah. Also, don't be that guy that did the 40 rules. If you want to be in my campaign, you got to follow these 40 rules.
Yeah. Oh, no, no thanks. Ugh, too much. Too much.
Well, and some of them were pretty ridiculous too. But
Were
well, I
they?
think we get. Yeah, we'll have to. Well, you know what? Let's just not talk about it anymore.
We
I'll
could
have to
do
show it
a
to you sometime though.
let's do a video on why you should not do 40 rules of D&D.
40 rules of D&D. Now, some are pretty crazy. Like you have to act out your inspirational speech.
Yeah,
Woo!
that's a lot. That's a lot. He should be on a
uh,
podcast.
oh, there was a bunch of crazy ones, and there was
Yeah.
like one like if there was like he if you did something he would just leave and it's like and if you got a ride with me tough luck. I'm like
Hmm.
sounds like I'm never giving a ride with you or playing at your table, my dude.
Yeah. Weird. Well, Hudson, do you have any tips for well, Hudson, do you have anything to add to this before we call it a day?
You know, the thing is like I'm kind of impartial. Like sometimes I DM because I want to play, but other people aren't available to DM, or I have an idea, like a world I want people to play in, but like there's no way for that to happen, like I can't give the world to Brian and expect a good product out of that.
What? I could do something
No,
good with your
like
world.
you could, but you wouldn't be what I wanted out of it,
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So like, so sometimes I'm like, I really want to try this. So then I run a game for a while,
Yeah.
and like it's okay. It's okay to be like, yeah, I'll run a game, and it's also okay to say I don't want to run a game. Like,
Yeah, it's totally fine. Oh, got a question for you. Because I feel some vibes here that I could maybe tell. Because I've only, I don't know if you've ran games for me, actually, now that I think about it. I don't think I've ever played one of your games yet. Are
you
you
got
me?
invited. You said no. You got
Okay.
invited though.
One time?
A couple times. You were
Oh,
just like,
fine, fine. Make me look bad in front of everybody.
Mark joined my campaign, but
Wait,
I offered
Mark was in it and I wasn't. He says
I
no.
offered it to you first. And you're like,
He can't
no,
make
ask Mark.
anything. Oh man. Wow, I need to change my ways.
I have
Hey,
it might have been a bad day for you. It was Tuesdays at the time.
I bet I
And
was
you
in
might have
school. Was I
and
in
you might have had
school?
school. You might have had school.
Well, now I'm out of school and I'm redoing my basement and making it a game room because my son's moving out. So I hope I get lots more gaming in. All right, back to the question though. Are you a mean DM? I feel like you would be.
I
Don't take
could
that the
be
wrong way,
like
but
I'm not gonna let you get away with the spell. You're like,
yeah,
what's that spell do?
gotcha.
How does it really work?
Hmm.
Like, let's break this down. That like because sometimes people are like I want to use moonbeam to destroy this tower. It says creature, not object. It
Oh,
doesn't work.
gotcha. Yeah, I'm pretty big on that. I'm okay with that. That makes sense, you know?
Right.
That makes
Like
sense.
spells, people like to make will take the most simple spell and try to make it effectively wish, right? Like
Yeah.
they'll just do
Yeah.
whatever they want it to do. I'm like, guys, it's okay that it doesn't like it does X, right? Let it do
Yeah.
X. You can be creative within X, but just let it be itself. A lot of
Yes.
times the spells will do more, or like they're the spell that they're actually trying to do with that spell, the way that they're working it is actually already exists within the campaign. It's just a higher level spell. They need to go pick it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I mean, earlier when I was saying I let people be super creative with their spells, but yeah, still following the guidelines like you said, though. If it says target creature and you're trying to target a ship, mm-mm.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and some people get a little crazy, and I disagree with that because as long as it says like certain keywords, I'll let it use. Like people are like, hold monster. Okay. I want to cast it on a person. I'm like, what does it say? It says target creature. All right, cool.
yeah,
I don't, it's a higher level spell. Like you should just use whole person, but you want to burn the higher level spell? Okay, by
interesting.
me.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome.
So yeah, there was another one that they tried to do, and like I've had them shut down. I'm like, it's a higher level spell, my dude. Just let them do it. Like realistically, they could cast a spell you're telling them they have to cast at that same spell level and get more bang for their buck. Like, well, let them play the game poorly.
Yeah. Oh, real quick, I will say, don't be afraid to make mistakes too when you're the DM. It's going to happen. So make sure you just kind of roll with the punches.
Mhm.
And then after the session, if you made a mistake, no worries.
Yeah,
I guess that's
yeah,
getting a little sidetracked talking more about DM tips or your first time DMing. So,
yeah,
which we should
yeah,
do a video on that too.
yeah. Oh
So,
man, we could talk hours about riddles, I think.
how to make your players mad. Give them a riddle.
Give them a riddle. Well,
Give them six at
some
one
play
time, like I did with Hudson, and his head exploded.
riddles are like one of two things for me, like super easy or calculus. Like it's just like,
Yeah.
what? Can you say that again?
I
Can you like get some crayons out and explain to me what the riddle's trying to say?
I breathe life, but give life and take life. What are you talking about? There's nothing that does that. This is stupid. I quit. That's how my brain works.
Yeah,
Like in a second, if I don't get it,
yeah.
you're like,
It's just
thanks
they're
for
like,
telling. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I'm the same way. I just start overthinking it. I'm like, ah, and then like somebody gives an answer, and I'm like, no.
You're like, thanks for telling me that riddle. I'm never solving it. Funny, funny, funny. Yeah, well, don't be afraid to be a DM. Give it a try, and tell us in the comments what your styles are. What do you think? Are you more rigid? Are you very loose? Um, do you do lots of combat? Do you do a mix? What do you think? We'd love to hear it. So, and things will change too. So I was definitely a different DM back when I was 9 compared to even when I was 20 to um, my young age of 29 right now. So very different.
Your young age of what now?
29. On that note, thanks
Oh.
for watching. We'll talk to you later.
All right, have a good bye.